The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Did you know that one of the richest men in the world, Elon Musk, is calling for sanctions against South African politician Julius Malema over a video? It may sound unbelievable, but this isn't just a feud between two public figures. It represents a deeper battle over Africa's sovereignty, race relations, and global power dynamics. However, this time, Africa, specifically Julius Malema, is not backing down. In a viral video, Malema made bold statements about land redistribution and economic freedom, challenging the exploitation of Africa by foreign powers. In response, Elon Musk fired back, claiming Malema's rhetoric was dangerous and even called for sanctions against him. This sparked a global debate, drawing battle lines between African self-determination and Western influence over the continent. The controversy escalated when an old video of Malema chanting, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," resurfaced. The chant, historically tied to the anti-apartheid struggle, remains deeply divisive. Musk condemned Malema, stating that he was inciting violence against white farmers in South Africa. However, Malema and his supporters argue that the phrase is symbolic, representing the continued fight for land and economic equality. Malema, leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, has long pushed for radical policies including land nationalization and wealth redistribution. His rhetoric has drawn support from disenfranchised South Africans who feel that economic disparities persist despite the end of apartheid. During the EFF's 10th anniversary rally, Malema reaffirmed his commitment to revolutionizing South Africa's socio-economic structure, further intensifying tensions with critics. At a press conference, Malema hit back at Musk, calling him illiterate and suggesting that his privilege as a wealthy white man shields him from real struggles. Musk's response to Malema fits into a larger pattern of Western elites attempting to influence African politics, often under the guise of global stability and economic interests. South Africa's land reform policies have been a major source of international tension, particularly with Western powers like the United States. Former President Donald Trump even threatened economic sanctions over South Africa's land expropriation initiatives, demonstrating how African economic reforms can provoke global backlash. Musk's criticism of Malema is part of this broader pattern of foreign interference in African affairs. Elon Musk's vast fortune is built on industries that heavily rely on Africa's resources. His companies, Tesla and SpaceX, depend on minerals such as cobalt, lithium, and nickel, many of which are mined in Africa under exploitative conditions. The irony is clear. While Musk amasses wealth from African resources, he opposes leaders like Malema, who demand that Africa benefits from its own wealth. Musk's calls for sanctions against Malema highlight the ongoing struggle between Western elites and African leaders advocating for economic justice. This clash is not just about one politician's words, it's about Africa's right to control its own future without interference from powerful outsiders. As this debate continues, it raises important questions. Should Western billionaires have the power to dictate African politics? Is Africa finally reclaiming control over its destiny, or will it remain subject to foreign influence? And most importantly, does the West truly have the moral authority to police African leaders on issues of racial justice and economic reform? For centuries, Africa has been subjected to foreign exploitation, from colonial rule to modern-day economic dependence. Leaders like Malema challenge the status quo, seeking to redistribute wealth and empower marginalized communities. However, the West has a history of demonizing such leaders, just as it once labeled Nelson Mandela a criminal before celebrating him as a hero. The global reaction to Malema's stance reveals deeper anxieties about Africa's potential to assert independence. The question remains, will Africa continue to be shaped by external forces, or will it break free from centuries of economic and political domination? One thing is certain, this battle is far from over. The tensions between Africa and Western powers are not new. From the days of colonialism to the modern global economy, Africa has been systematically marginalized. The continent's rich resources have historically been extracted for the benefit of foreign powers, leaving local populations impoverished. Leaders like Patrice Lumumba, Thomas Sankara, and Kwame Nkrumah fought for economic independence only to face resistance from powerful global interests. Malema's call for economic freedom is part of this long-standing struggle. Whenever African leaders have attempted to reclaim control over their resources, they have faced severe pushback. Western governments, multinational corporations, and global financial institutions have historically used sanctions, economic pressure, and even military intervention to maintain dominance. The current backlash against Malema follows this pattern, an attempt to discredit and suppress African movements that seek economic justice. Elon Musk, as the owner of X, formerly Twitter, holds significant influence over public discourse. His ability to amplify certain narratives and suppress others demonstrates the power of social media in shaping global politics. The debate over Malema is not just occurring in political offices or news outlets, it is being fought in real time on digital platforms. The question remains, how much influence should billionaires like Musk have over political debates in Africa? Malema's stance resonates with broader Pan-African movements that seek to unite the continent in economic and political solidarity. From the African Continental Free Trade Area, or AfCFTA, to the push for a more independent financial system, Africa is slowly moving toward greater self-reliance. However, external pressures, whether from Western billionaires, governments, or corporations, continue to challenge this progress. The coming years will be crucial in determining whether Africa can break free from its historical cycle of economic dependence. The fight between Malema and Musk is not just about a controversial video, it symbolizes Africa's ongoing struggle for self-determination. Will African nations rally behind Malema's vision, or will foreign powers continue to dictate the continent's economic policies? As discussions about sanctions, economic justice, and political sovereignty continue, the world is watching closely. Africa is at a crossroads, and the choices made now will shape its future for generations to come. One thing is clear, the struggle for Africa's economic freedom is far from over. Whether Malema is the right leader for this fight remains a topic of debate, but the larger issue, the continent's right to control its own destiny, remains more relevant than ever.
There is no white genocide here. It's an absolute rubbish to say there is white genocide. There is black genocide in the USA. They are killing black people in the USA. My view is that Donald Trump is contributing in this debate which is going on. And in the process of contribution, Donald Trump made a similar contribution that were made by white people, all of them, in the hearings, in the public hearings. Donald Trump is not saying anything we have not heard from white people in all the hearings. I even commented and said, I'm still to meet a white person who supports expropriation of land without compensation. So why are you shocked? I see leaders of the EFF and everybody responding to Donald Trump. I don't have time for nonsense. I expected this. And more backlash is going to come. If South Africans are not ready to expropriate the land because they are scared of sanctions, they are scared of backlash, then don't vote for the EFF. Because you vote for us, we are going to expropriate land. And Donald Trump will come for us. And Britain will come for us. And the EU will come for us. I said, and I said this throughout my life in the movement, that for everything good comes the pain before. If you're not prepared, South Africa, to take the pain, then forget about the land. Donald Trump has not said anything extreme. Things are still going to come. I hope the Zuma group in the ANC, which is supporting this thing, they know the consequences. We know the consequences. We know that the first response will be killing. They will kill us for that. There's a group of white right-wingers who are being trained by Jews in Pretoria to be snipers. Snipers. They are not training guns. In the EFF, we are training toy guns. They're dealing with real stuff. They are training in a farm in Pretoria. We know it. To be snipers. So we know that death is the first price we are prepared to pay. The second price we are prepared to pay for this land is poverty. They will close taps. But if there is a conviction, and not sloganeering and public opinions, then we must be prepared for everything. It's a war. We must be prepared for Donald Trump and all of them. We're not scared of them. We remain unshaken. Actually, we are more determined after the Donald Trump tweet to expropriate our land without compensation. There is no white genocide here. It's an absolute rubbish to say there is white genocide. There is black genocide in the USA. They are killing black people in the USA. There is black genocide here in South Africa. Black people are being killed all the time. A farmer has been sentenced to life now recently for having killed a farm worker. Imagine if it was a black person sent life for having killed a white person. It will be news all over. But this black person was killed and a white farmer sent to prison for long time in jail. It's once off reporting and it's done. There is no scientific evidence that points to any white genocide in South Africa. It's not true. And we're not scared of such things. We're not going to be distracted by anyone. Only death will stop us. Not Trump, not poverty, not sanctions. We have all of them in our mind. We know the consequences of what we're asking for. We know it. And it's not like we're going into this thing without knowing the consequences. So AfriForum is the embassy of the USA. If you want issues to reach USA, go to AfriForum. Then you shall get a proper response. But otherwise, AfriForum is nothing to us. We're not scared of AfriForum. We're continuing business as usual. Not that we're not these Twitter revolutionaries who say all sorts of things about Donald Trump. If we were to say to them, all of them, let's go to the US embassy, none of them will come. They tweet from their comfort beds with bed heaters. So we are on the streets. We're fighting this thing on the streets. We are on the picket lines. That's why we're not shaken. We know this is what people want. And if there is anyone who's in this thing without knowing the consequences, then you are in a wrong place. Cyril, you could hear the man is in pain to explain these things in Parliament yesterday. He calls me Musima Imani because he's troubled. He can't even think straight. He's in pain. It is the most difficult thing to explain a policy you don't believe in. How do you say you must expropriate land and give people title deeds? Our people, and I will not disagree with them, if they were to have a paper like this called the title deed, they won't eat title deed. Here is a paper called title deed, yet you remain poverty-stricken. And here is a man with money who says to me, give me that paper, I give you the money to eat now. They will take the money. You are setting our people up for failure when you talk title deeds. Always in politics, you must ask the question, who's raising this and who stands to benefit from this? They are going to give our people title deeds. Our people are going to use those title deeds as surety, and they will not be in a position to pay the debt, and the white people will come and take those things. And the story that white people stole the land will disappear, because they will say, no, we took the land rightfully so because they couldn't pay us. They were owing us. So they are going to give you the land and come and buy it from you, close to nothing, because you will not have money, you will need money now. He says the reality is that people who got the houses now and title deeds have not sold the houses. He must go to the RDP houses and go and look for the owners of the RDP houses. Yeah. They are not there. RDP houses are being rented out. The owners of the RDP houses went to squat somewhere. Why? They want to make money. They want to make money.